Hey guys, welcome back to BLO'S Closet, and if this is your first time here on the channel, you are very welcome to BLO'S Closet. Today I bring to you guys another pattern drafting tutorial. I'll be sharing with us how to draft a basic bodice pattern. This tutorial is going to be very simplified and detailed, very beginner friendly. So if you're interested in learning how to draft your own basic bodice pattern, keep on watching and let us head straight into this tutorial. To draft your own basic bodice pattern, you'll be needing the following sets of measurements. I like to group my measurements into two different categories known as the vertical measurements and the horizontal measurements. The vertical measurements for me are measurements along your body. These are different, it highlights different points on your body, and this includes the shoulder to navel point, which is also known as the bust point, the shoulder to waist point, which is also known as the half length point, the shoulders to the hip point, and the blouse length. The horizontal measurements are measurements that are taken around your body, and this includes the shoulders, the round bust measurement, the round waist measurement, the round hips measurement, and also the bust span measurement, which is also known as the nipple to nipple measurements. So I believe that we all have an idea on the required measurements for drafting a basic bodice pattern, and if there is any question you have on this, you can let me know in the comment section below, and let us get straight into this pattern drafting. Alright guys, here's my pattern paper which I'll be using for this project, and first things first, I'll start by ruling out a straight line at the top of this my pattern paper, which will serve as my starting line as well as my shoulder line. And next I'm going to go ahead and impute my vertical measurements. So for my vertical measurement, I'll start off by placing my tape on this line that I ruled earlier. Remember that this is a shoulder line, and I'll be marking my shoulder to bust measurement, which is 10 inches. Next, I'll be marking my shoulder to waist measurement, which is 16 inches. And finally, I'll be marking my shoulder to hips measurement, which is about 25 inches. For my length, I'll be using the same 25 inches for my length, so feel free to use whatever measurement you like for your length. And this is me repeating the same measurement on the other side of my pattern paper so that we can have a straight line when we connect this. So next thing, I'm going to be using my straight ruler to connect these lines into a straight line, and I'll go ahead and label my pattern. So this right here, like I said, is my shoulder line, and this is my bust point line, this is my waistline aka half length line, and this is my hips line aka the length of my blouse. So guys, I would like to indicate that this is my center front, and I am going to be labeling this CF, which means center front. So on my shoulder line, I'll be imputing my neck width and my neck depth. So I'll be marking a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of 3 inches. This is like standard measurement. So if you want to create any garment, you can go ahead and alter this to any neckline you like. And this is me using my curve ruler to connect the points. So next, I am coming to this my shoulder line, and I impute my shoulder measurement. I'm working with a shoulder measurement of 16, and you will divide your shoulder measurement by 2 inches, which is 8 for me. But I'll be adding half an inch for ease allowance, and this will also help me attach sleeves in case I want a sleeve on this dress. From that mark, I am going to be coming down by 1 inch, and this is for my shoulder slant, and I'll be using the help of my straight ruler to slant this into my neckline. The reason for the shoulder slant is because our shoulders are not straight, so we have to create this slant so that our bodies will sit properly on our shoulders. Next, I will be imputing my armhole measurement, and in order to get my armhole measurement, I'm going to be dividing my bust measurement by 6, and I'll add 1.5 inches to that answer, and this is what I got 7.333, but I'll be approximating everything to 7.5 inches, and I'll mark that 7.5 inches from that my shoulder slant. So this is like a quick way to get your armhole measurement if you did not measure your armhole. But if you actually measured your armhole round, you should divide what you have by 2 and mark it down. So next, I'm going to rule out a straight line here, and I'll later label this line my chest line. So in order to draw out my armhole line, I'll be measuring what I have on my shoulder, which is 8.5 inches under my chest line, so that my line will be straight when I am ruling it out. Okay, right here, this is my chest line. I have gone ahead to label it, and this is my armhole line. So I'm going to divide what I have there by 2. Okay, under my armhole line I divided what I have there by 2, and I'll mark it down, and from that mark I'm going to be going in by 2.5 inches first, that's a 1/4 inch, and then I'll be going in by 3/4 inches. These points that we've marked will help us create our armhole for the front and for the back. But before I do that, I'll go ahead and divide my bust measurement by 4 and mark what I have down there. And next I'll be using the help of my curved ruler to create my armhole. So first I am creating my armhole for the front, and I placed my ruler on that 3/4 inches. So can you see we have our armhole for the front, which is deeper, and for the armhole for the back I'll be placing my curved ruler following that 2.5 inches that we measured. Okay, and this is my armhole for the back. The difference between the front and the back armhole is that the front armhole is deeper while the back armhole is shallow. Next, we'll go ahead and impute the rest of our horizontal measurement, which is basically our bust, our waist, and our hips. So already I marked a 1/4 of my bust measurement, which is 9 inches. So I'll just be imputing that same measurement on my bust point line, and on my waistline I'm going to be imputing a 1/4 of my waist measurement. That's whatever you get on your waist measurement, you divide it by 4. That was the same thing I did for my bust point, but on my waist I will be adding extra 1 inch for that allowance. I hope this is clear. Okay, divide your waist measurement by 4, mark that down, and add extra 1 inch for that allowance. And now on our hip line I am going to be dividing my hip measurement by 4. I have a hip measurement of 40 inches divided by 4, that is 10 inches. Now I am going to be connecting these points with the help of my straight ruler and my curved ruler. So from my waist to my hip I'm going to be using the curved part of my ruler, and this is what we have. Next I will impute my dart on this my pattern, and in order to do this I'll come to my waistline and I will mark my bust pan measurements divided by 2. So I'm working with a bust pan measurement of 7 inches. 7 inches divided by 2 is 3.5 inches. So I have marked that on my waist, my bust point, and my hip line, and I'll be using my straight ruler to connect these points. So now from my bust point line I'll be coming down by 1.5 inches. You can come down by 1 inch, and from my hip line I will be going up by 1.5 inches. Alright, so this is where my dart is going to start and end, this point that I just marked. Remember that we added an extra 1 inch on our waist measurements for our dart. I'll be dividing that 1 inch by 2, and I'll mark ½ inch on both sides of these lines on my waist, and I'll connect these points like so using my ruler. And finally I'll be imputing my back neckline, and for my back neckline I'm going to be using a neck depth of 1 inch. So I'll mark 1 inch there on my neckline, and I am going to connect it to meet my neck width of 3 inches. So now on this pattern I have both my front neckline and my back neckline, and I also have my front armhole and my back armhole, and I use the green marker to indicate that this is the back. Okay, so any green that you see, just know that it's for the back. So I'll grab my paper scissors and I'll cut this my pattern out, but I'll cut around the back armhole and the back neckline first. I did not add seam allowances to this my pattern, but feel free to add seam allowances to your own pattern. I will be adding my own seam allowances when I actually use this pattern to cut out on my fabric. After cutting out my pattern, this is what I have, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this onto a fresh pattern paper and trace this out, okay, for the back, after which I'll come back and cut out my front neckline and back armhole. And here is my fresh piece of pattern paper, and as you can see I folded in about 1 inch. Okay, if I measure this out you see that this is 1 inch, and this 1 inch that I folded in is for my zipper allowance. So I am going to fold it back in, and I'll bring our pattern, my pattern that I cut out earlier, and I am going to align this. Okay, align the center front to the edge of this pattern paper. Make sure that everything is well aligned. You can use your tape to secure this in place and go ahead and cut around this our pattern like this. After cutting, the next thing I'm going to do is I'll push this pattern paper slightly a little bit towards me, and I'll mark out where my chest line is, where my bust line is, and where my waistline is. And I'll also push this forward and repeat the same thing. I'll mark out my chest line, my bust line, and my waistline. And I will take out this my pattern and rule out these lines, and I will label them. So guys, I feel like this is a simpler way of getting your back pattern instead of drafting it from scratch. So after labeling my lines, I'll also go ahead and indicate that this part is my center back, just like we did for the front. And now I am going to bring my front pattern and cut out the front neckline and the front armhole curve, and our front pattern is ready. And now I am going to be opening up my back pattern, and this is what we have. Can you see that our zipper allowance right there? I am going ahead to label that zipper allowance. Finally, we are going to be imputing our dart on this our back pattern, and as you can see, my tape is on this 1 inch zipper allowance line that we marked because that's our center back, and I am marking my bust span measurement divided by 2, 3.5 inches, just like I did for the front. I marked it on my chest line, my waistline, and my hip line, and I am going to be connecting these points with my ruler. Now from my hip line, I am going to be going up by 1.5 inches, just like I did for the front, and I'll be coming down from the chest line by 1 inch. And now I'll go to the waist and divide our 1 inch for that we added earlier, into 2, half an inch on both sides. I will be connecting these points just like we did for the front. So the difference between the front and the back dart is that for the back dart, I came down from the chest line by 1 inch, but for the front, I came down from the bust point by 1.5 inches. And right here, guys, we are done with our back body. It's very simple, easy, and straight to the point. And this is what we have. This is my back pattern, looking all nice and pretty. And I went ahead to draw in my green line off camera. I indicated that this is the back. I indicated the size and who this pattern is for and how many pieces I should cut, which is 2. And this is my front pattern. I did the same thing for the front. Basically, I indicated that I'm supposed to cut 1 piece on fold. So guys, this is it. We have come to the end of today's tutorial, and I believe that with this video you'll be able to draft your own basic bodice pattern. So guys, if you have any questions or you have any thoughts or suggestions, go ahead and drop it in the comment section, and please subscribe to this channel if you're not yet subscribed. Like this video so that more people can get to see it, and turn on your post notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I post new videos. And I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye guys.